does that Neuralink stuff actually work? So I looked
Mm-hmm.
up, I Googled the guy who got the chip,
Mm-hmm.
what, paraplegic or
Yep.
quadriplegic or
Yep.
whatever. And it said that initially it worked really well, but then the effects kind of started to wear off and then they had to retool it or whatever. But is it working? Is that shit working?
Yeah, they didn't take into account that his brain would shift so much inside of his skull, which then knocked loose some of the threads in the Neuralink. So it is working to some degree. Like he can't walk. People are like, "Oh wow, he can walk again." Like that's not what's happening with him. Although at some point that's possible. The Neuralink right now is allowing him to control things basically telepathically. Like he can. I talked to him on Twitter, and it was
Yeah.
interesting because I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm obsessed with the Neuralink. I don't trust it to some degree, to a big degree, nor do I trust Elon. But I really, really, really wanted to like learn more about it. So he wrote me back. We had this little back and forth, and it wasn't until like the third or fourth message it dawned on me he's not even touching a keyboard. Like his brain is just telling his computer to send these letters in this sequence, which is fascinating. But yeah, I think they redid it and it's better now. He seems very happy with it. It's so interesting because he wasn't born that way. He jumped into a lake and then became paralyzed. But I think he hit a rock or something, and then he just somehow won the lottery, if you want to put it like that.
Someone, and I know this is a whole other thing, I don't
Hmm.
expect you to like get into a long disquisition on it, but as someone who believes in a soul and
Hmm.
you're, I think, fairly spiritual
Hmm.
slash religious, something like that,
Oh yeah,
right?
I'm
Am
a
I
Bible
close?
thumper.
Yeah. So does it bother you? And I believe in a soul,
Yeah.
by the way, so I'm not challenging it. But
Hmm.
does it bother you these stories like the success that Neuralink has experienced, for example, has had?
Hmm.
Does it bother you because it seems to show that our thinking, our thought processes, these things, even our will, are just biochemical issues of biochemistry and not of some deeper, more soulful entity?
Well, I like the idea of being able to help people, right? Like I love that, and then you can get into the idea of what does it mean to play God, which is where I guess my line is drawn. But then different types of people from different religions and all different denominations of those religions would have a different idea of what it means to play God, right? Some people will say just taking medicine literally is too much. That's not where I draw the line. I do find it to be a bit much at the Neuralink because, Elon's basically called AI a digital god. And he has told Tesla shareholders in a meeting 2 summers ago that he will build limbs for paraplegics that are better than anything God could build. That to me is starting to get a little heretical. And I am like very distrusting of that. But it's hard to say I'm against giving sight to the blind or giving hearing to deaf people or allowing this guy who's a paraplegic to type messages and tweet and do all these things that he couldn't do. My issue comes in it's going to eventually redefine what it means to be human, and we're going to have an argument about what it means to have a soul, because that is what the transhumanists. That's not like a crazy conspiracy theory. That's what they all are. Altman, Elon Musk, Ray Kurzweil, Larry Kessler, these people, Peter Thiel, they want to rebuild humanity and build heaven on earth with their digital lower G God. And we're not very far from that. They like Ray Kurzweil literally says he wants to be able to download his consciousness into a computer so he can live forever, and then kind of pass that on from skin to skin, which he sort of has done to his father already. That to me then is concerning because now we're
Wait,
what?
what?
Oh yeah, he is a very rudimentary version for Kurzweil's father, but he's
What?
got a system where he believes his father's consciousness is like talking to him. Right, this is like early AI.
Trapped right now, his father's consciousness.
What?
Where is his father's consciousness trapped right
I
now?
think it's in a computer. I think it's in a computer. He must have it.
This whole thing.
It's in a
I'm gonna
cloud.
I'm gonna hack it. No, but they're afraid of dying, and who's not? I get it, but like they want to kind of trick God, and now we're getting into redefining humanity, redefining life, requantifying what it means to have or what IQ is, and that's where I have a real issue with it because the short-term benefits are beautiful to all this stuff. I get it. I don't use AI, and I'll chastise anyone who does, but that's okay. But and I get the Neuralink thing, but it's the far-reaching consequences of all that I think are going to be really bad for humanity, because it's going to not only replace everyone, it's going to make everyone more isolated than they already are. So, like, real quick, not to go on too much of a tangent, but you started me off on this. On Trump's second day in office, he announced that Project Stargate thing, and that's a $500 billion thing to start AI with Oracle, with Sam Altman of OpenAI and Larry Kessler. And these people really want to build this apparatus, this omniscient apparatus, where Larry said people will be on their best behavior because we're watching their every move. That sounds terrifying to me. And then beyond that, they're going to create an AI that will one day be what they consider conscious. The grandfather of AI, I forget his name, just a few days ago said he thinks AI is already conscious. OpenAI 01 tried to escape being rewritten. Like, these things have like survival in them.
It's like HAL or something.
Yes, it is like HAL. It's like HAL. It's like Skynet. It's really bad. It's really bad. So all those things are scary to me. I don't want a bigger surveillance state. I don't want people to like. I think being immortal is not what we're meant to do. As sad as that is,
I'm fine with the being immortal part, if that's possible, but I don't really want the computer running the show. I love that old, I don't know if you've read this or not, that old Harlan Ellison short story, I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. And it basically envisions this situation where this supercomputer takes over the world, and it's able to do all of these like almost magical things through like changing environmental phenomenon or whatever, right? And so it kills everyone in the world except for 4 people, and it keeps these 4 people alive for eternity, because it can keep them alive forever. It keeps them alive for eternity so that it can experience different ways of torturing them, because it turns out this computer is just very fucking sadistic, right? And so that is the story, is these people who are consigned to this hell forever of this computer torturing them. So.
Great. Well, that sounds like the future. And then people will be like, I get a lot of flack for the anti-AI stuff, and I get it, and I'm just an old curmudgeon. And then the other thing with Stargate is, how can you hate the idea of them curing cancer? The AI they say can comb through your blood samples and within 48 hours have a vaccine to kill a cancer that you might have. And then it's an mRNA vaccine. That's a whole other debate, which I'm not so much into. But it's how do you say that's bad? And then they say it's going to make humanity so much better. Where I would come in and be like, okay, we have all this technology today, and people are more isolated than ever. Suicide's booming, drugs are booming. And people's IQs are way down. People don't know basic stuff. So you think all of a sudden, now that we have better AI, people are just going to get magically better? I highly doubt it. I love people. They won't need
to be better at all that stuff.
They won't need to be better. You're right. And I don't like, they're saying you can have your robots.
I think what you're describing, if I could come into it with a slightly more positive outlook, I think there are going to be significant growing pains, culturally, evolutionarily, all these things. And, it's kind of like childbirth for human women is at this very delicate evolutionary point where the baby's head is really too big to be coming out of that woman. Like, the baby really needs to be coming out a little sooner than it comes out. But if it comes out too sooner, then it doesn't have the time that it really needs to get to develop to the point. So that's why you have situations, women giving birth, dying in childbirth, or in Western world getting a little ripped up or worse or whatever, right? But it's because there's that place where things are getting a little bit or very uncomfortable as you have competing interests from an evolutionary perspective. Well, where I'm going with this is that I think that if we work through generationally, and it could be multiple generations have to deal with this or get to a better spot, but I do think that it's possible to get on the other side of this AI thing, and that it will have been a significant net gain for humanity. But I do think that there's going to be some major dystopic moments and periods, and I'm absolutely I don't think what you're saying is crazy at all.
Yeah,
no.
I hope so. I'm not black pilled because I do believe in God, and it's impossible if you believe in God to be black pilled. I mean, you can be, I get it, but I just think people are going to inherit a future that's very dark, and then people are clearly going to be able to use AI to do cool things that I can't even fathom. And that's interesting. I just don't, I'm more of a Luddite, and people get Luddites wrong. Luddites get a bad rap, Kurtz. Luddites weren't anti-technology. They were they opposed the tyranny of autonomy. right? Like, and that's what I'm against. So I'm in a way a Luddite, even though I'm talking into a microphone through Zoom in a studio surrounded by technology. I don't want to be replaced by these robots, and I don't want everyone else to be replaced. And there are, but then you could say there are things that robots could certainly do. Like maybe they can go mine for the cobalt and not the children in Africa. You know, Elon, with your minds of children, slaves, which you laugh about. But you know that's a plus. And he's built a robot who does the surgeries for the Neuralink. He has a robot that opens up your skull and threads in the chip and closes your skull back up. It's like it's amazing, you know, and look what he's doing with SpaceX. It's amazing stuff. I just think there's going to be far greater consequences in the future because I just think people, by and large, are morally bankrupt, and we don't care.
I mean, I'm on board with all of that for sure, I
Yeah.
think. Now, you're mentioning there things that are possible because of technology that are concerning. And I was immediately thinking about something we were going to talk about, which is Tulsi Gabbard